Thanks for being here, folks. I'm glad that we've got a few people on here. I'm going to go ahead and get started to honor your time for being here. This message will be recorded once I've done some editing and take a look at the message that pop up that I get in the chat, the questions that come up in the chat. I'll post those on the McNary website. Answers to those questions to the best of my ability, and we'll get you out of here fairly quickly, hopefully. You can message me directly, and I do have access to that. So if there's any technical difficulties, you can't hear me, you can't see the screen that I'm referring to, shoot me a message so that I'm positive that you're getting the information that you need while we do the presentation. You should have in front of you Winter Athletics Parent Meeting, and we'll go ahead and get started. Again, thanks for being here tonight. First of all, I want to give you guys a list included in that link in our website. I'll also have the slide deck from tonight's presentation so that you have quick links to the different pieces and can quickly access those. Our head coaches for the winter: Ryan Kirch for boys basketball, Elizabeth Doran for girls basketball. Boys wrestling is Sam Martin. We've got girls wrestling, Bryce Waterrood. Swimming, Casey Lewin, and cheer, Kayla. So again, appreciate you being here. There are some specific things to each of the sports, and each of the coaches have scheduled a parent meeting for that. I'd encourage you to be there for those meetings as well. And if you've got any questions, my hope is that your son or daughter is able to answer many of those questions. But if you do need clarification, please reach out to those folks specifically as far as practice times or where you're meeting. Some things that change on a moment's notice, the athletic department in general might not know some of those details. And so it's better to contact the coaches directly. So one of the biggest things that's new to winter sports is Salem Kaiser's partnership with Hometown Ticketing. Now and for the foreseeable future, you won't need to bring cash to basketball games. I know it's crazy in the 20th century that we can finally figure this out, but similar to the playoffs that we experienced in the fall, OSAA has partnered with them as well, and you will be able to go on prior to the game and purchase your tickets. The cost is the same as it always has been. So if I'm buying a ticket for a girls varsity basketball game, that will get me entrance not only to that game, but it will also get me entrance into the games that are attached to it. Typically, it's attached to a freshman game and a JV game. And so one admission price, one ticket gets you into all of those events on that night. $7 for adults. That's anyone that's outside of high school and under 65. High school students without an ASB are $5, and any kids kindergarten to 8th grade are $3, and they must be accompanied by an adult. Free spectators are any of our spectators that are 65 years or older, students with a valid ASB card, or kids under 5. So all those folks get into free. Obviously, we want students with a valid ASB card. The intent is that they're coming to watch, that they're a member, student of one of the two teams that are playing, which is obvious, but just want to mention that as well. We do have season passes available. winter season passes are for the family are $85 and $50 for individuals that want to do that. It's likely that those season passes can be purchased season passes can be purchased on hometown ticketing. We also have NFHS Network. It was not very good last year and for most of the fall, but we've upgraded the service, and they continue to upgrade its broadcast. And so I'm excited or optimistic that it'll be a better experience for you, at least when games are happening at McNary. I can't make any promises for the other schools that what that coverage will look like. I see a question here about wrestling. Yeah, those are the same admission prices for wrestling as well. So that would be the cost, and there'll be hometown ticketing available for those. It should be known also that Ben Lapine is also partnering with hometown ticketing, and they won't be taking any cash at the gate, at the door. So you will need to purchase your tickets on hometown ticketing if you want to go to a game in Bend this year. Talk a little bit about eligibility. The first process in students participating in winter sports is their family ID registration and a current physical. That gets them approved to practice, to try out, and to do everything except for contests. The contests, there's an academic eligibility piece that I will review prior to their first contest. Because we're still in semester one and winter sports transcends semester one into semester two, there's some added qualifications. First, they need to have passed 3 classes in quarter 4 of last year. That equates to 1.5 credits in quarter 4 of last year. They need to be currently enrolled in 5 classes or 2.5 credits or more this current semester, and they need to be enrolled in the same 2.5 credits for semester 2 this year in order to complete the season. They need to be currently passing 5 classes or more now, and at every 6-week grading cycle, we'll review grades, progress, and if they aren't passing 5 classes, that student athlete will wait until they are passing 5 classes to be eligible to participate. They also need to be on track to graduate. On track to graduate means what their credit totals are after each year. So at the end of their freshman year, they need to have completed 4.5 credits. At the end of their sophomore year, they needed to complete 10 credits. And after their junior year, they need to have had 17 credits. By and large, majority of those well exceed that, and we have not had any eligibility, or we've had very few eligibility concerns for our athletes. In fact, we've ranked very high in Oregon in our academic achievements. So kudos to your sons and daughters in their work in the classroom. They will be impact baseline tested every 2 years. And so if they haven't had that happen in the last couple of years, then they'll submit another baseline test. The last thing is that the last year we all know was a challenge for academic achievement. And so there is some flexibility for students that have struggled during online learning. But there has to be some evidence that there was work completed, some credits earned, or efforts made towards graduation. And so those will be handled on a case-by-case basis. And we can file for hardships where there has been a demonstration of efforts towards graduating on time. So what is the max for family pass is another question. I believe it's 2 adults and 2 children. But if you've got an extra child, that's fine. If we're doing it through hometown ticketing, I'm not sure what that looks like. I'm not sure if that means that you're showing us one QR code to get the entire family in, or if there's going to be 4 tickets that you can share with family members. More to come on that. Some of the details on hometown ticketing aren't quite there, but my early experience with it is something that I think parents are really going to be happy with. So this is a slide that I showed to our fall parents in that meeting. I've omitted some things, but this slide is identical to what we were facing with fall sports. The current challenges that we have certainly is COVID is one thing that is a constant that is impacting athletics for sure. And it's something that it's a challenge that we will continue to work on and overcome. I'm happy and excited that over the course of last year's intense model of athletics and this fall, that we've yet to cancel a varsity game because of COVID. We've had to adjust some sub-varsity games so that a varsity game could happen. But in general, in every instance, we have not canceled a game because of COVID at the varsity level. We've canceled some games because of transportation, and we've moved some games because of officiating shortages. And we've moved some games because transportation was not available on the day that either a team was coming to us or that we were going somewhere. In general, it's been when Ben schools have not been able to get a bus to get to Salem and Kaiser for competitions. So those COVID, transportation, officiating, we've had some weather or environmental things that have been challenges with the smoke and playing Southern schools outside early this year. But those remain to be challenges. And one of the things I'm most proud about is our student athletes, our coaches, and our spectators, our parents have embraced our bold approach, which is flexibility, lots of grace, and communication. I hope that you feel like you know exactly what the expectations are at each of our contests as a spectator. I hope that our student athletes and our coaches feel like they have all the information that they need so that they are compliant with what OSAA or OHA or ODE is requiring of us. We go to certain venues outside of Salem Kaiser where they have different guidelines, and we've done a good job being flexible and gracious in following that guidance. And I'm going to ask the same of us moving forward. There's the light at the end of the tunnel isn't quite there yet, and so with that is an added level of anxiety and stress and frustration. But they are challenges that they will look different from year to year as our student athletes move forward. And the way that we respond to those is a great coaching moment for how we want our student athletes to respond as well. Winter schedules, I'd love to say that they're all finalized, but they are for the most part, but we're still doing some adjustments. You can visit our website to get a current access to our schedules. Most of those links take you directly to osaa.org. And I would encourage all of you to download the osaa.org app, where you can quickly look at schedules. In order for us to stay on top of transportation and officials and everything else, that is the fastest way for everyone to get the most current and accurate information about when contests are happening. For basketball, every school in the conference will have 3 teams, it sounds like, for both boys and girls, which is exciting. It's been a while since that's been the case. There will be some sophomores playing on freshman boy and freshman girls teams. And so it can get confusing when you're looking at osaa.org. The Mountain Valley Conference has decided that we're going to list all of our games for that 3rd level team as a freshman contest. So you can go there to look to find out what the schedule is, even if in actuality it's a JV2 team with a handful of sophomores on the team. I hope that makes sense, but it'll make sense when you look on the website and see JV2. You don't want to look there. You want to look at the freshman squad for that 3rd team. So the next thing that everyone, myself included, loves to talk about is face coverings. And the bottom line is that there are certain requirements that OHA, ODE require. It's not really an OSAA requirement, but their default is what OHA and what ODE is requiring. And so for athletics and contests within athletics, athletes, as long as they're actively competing or practicing, are not required to wear a mask. Coaches are required to wear a mask, and players, if they're on the bench or resting on the sidelines or not actively participating, they're required to wear a mask. That includes the weight room. Coaches are required to wear a mask during practices and during contests, and spectators are required to wear a mask. The only exception is if you're actively eating something, eating or drinking something. And we want to do our best to make sure that we're staying, our community groups or our family groups are staying, to the extent possible, are keeping distance from other groups. I'm hopeful that we have great crowds and we'll make a challenge for physical distancing, but wherever possible, we're doing that. And what we've found is that for the most part, hometown spectators do a better job of adhering to the requirements than visiting teams. So, and that goes for us as well. When we visit Sprague or West or Bend or Summit or any of the other schools, if it's not our school, we haven't done as well with the face coverings. I will tell you that there has been talks of limiting capacity for our games and contests. And I don't want to do that. It's not an idle threat, but I know that folks that are mitigating risk and ensuring safety, that might be their only recourse if we don't do a good job with the face coverings. And so that's one of the reasons we went to hometown ticketing, is we can very easily limit capacity by the number of tickets that we're able to sell. And no one wants that. And so I'm asking that you're flexible and you're gracious, and our primary goal is for our student athletes to be able to participate. And a secondary goal is that we're able to watch them in person. And I don't have any, I'm not concerned that won't happen, but I do need to make sure that our best face mask or face covering police are the parents in the stands that want to continue to go to games. And so I'm not asking you to confront anyone, but it is the best way to get those around you to comply is to be compliant yourself. And again, compliance has no reflection of whether you agree with it. Certainly that's the case with me, but it does show that you have your priority is to be able to watch your kids play and for them to have the opportunity to play. I hope that makes sense, and I'm counting on you to help me out with it as well. Again, with our idea of flexibility, grace, and communication, I think it's important that we review what I learned when I was a parent of a child in athletics from Bruce Brown, and what the role of a parent is in athletics. And the first thing that he talks about is releasing your son or daughter to the game. And he talks about how there's a lot of places that we don't want to necessarily release our kids to certain experiences, whether that's relationships or experimenting with drugs and alcohol. There's a lot of things that aren't safe experiences. But interscholastic athletics is one of the most safest and most opportune places for kids to grow. And so it is a safe place. Our coaches do an incredible job of working with kids, not only on their skills and their athletic development, but also on growing them to be leaders in the community after high school. I feel like I really am proud of the way our coaches work on that intentionally. Typically, and now more than ever, there's different expectations. We've got a coach's expectation of your son or daughter. Certainly your son or daughter has an expectation of what they want to do in athletics, and you have an expectation of what you'd like to see your son or daughter do in athletics. By and large, most kids, their expectation or their desire is to have fun. Sure, they want to be successful. Sure, they want to win. Many of them probably want to play collegiately, but their main priority is to be able to hang out with their friends, be competitive, and participate and have fun. And as a coach and as a parent, we need to accept that child's reasoning for playing, and we need to work with them and hold them accountable to what those expectations are, so that they grow themselves. The next thing is that Bruce talks about is modeling poise and confidence, in person and online, mostly in how we interact on social media is a way that we can model poise and confidence, but also in person towards officials, coaches, and other spectators, towards our own kids. We want to model poise and confidence, and we want to provide them time and space, both for the players and the coaches. If you've got a concern about your son or daughter, in almost every instance, those things, time and space, are going to help mitigate some of the emotions that are happening right after a game, or in truth, right before a practice. I know that any of you that have to plan and prepare or present, that moment right before you're presenting, and that moment right after you've presented, you're doing a lot of self-reflection and preparation. And so some of those harmless questions at the wrong time can throw us off as coaches, and it also doesn't give our players a chance to be reflective on how they're doing. And so that ride home can be one that you can gain a lot of connection with your kid by providing them the opportunity to reflect on it and talk about it if they want to. But if they don't, the best response is at the bottom of the page. I love watching you play, and sometimes when your emotions are high and our frustration is high based on what happened during the game, it's a challenge, but going to that, it's always true, and it allows you time to reflect as well. So please give coaches 24 hours, at least 12 hours until the next day to reflect and figure out what the best approach is and how we're going to communicate things, and then have a conversation with your child, or if need be with the coach, but set something up where, hey, I'd love to chat with you about this or that, or with your son or daughter at breakfast the next morning. Hey, I saw this happen. You know, what were you thinking, or what went in your mind, or was that frustrating? Things like that, I think, are always healthy conversations when there's some time and space provided. We all want to see. We all have a skewed view of teams. We are all looking first at our child and then at the team. And we are working with our kids, our student athletes, to have a team first and a broader view of that, which is a challenge. And it's a challenge for us as parents as well. And so I'm asking that we try to do that as well, that we recognize that everyone has different things coming up in our lives. I've done this at other parent meetings when we've been live and asked people to raise their hand if they've got anyone that's currently going through a difficult situation with their health, or maybe a marriage that's coming up, or a celebration that's coming up. And almost every hand goes up, because we're all dealing with different things, some positive, some negative. But if we're missing practice because of those things, then it's impacting the entire team. And so really look at those priorities, and make sure that the team is not impacted negatively by absences. Love to see perfect attendance. Love to see reasons to be at practice rather than looking for reasons that are excused to not be at practice. If there is a need to miss practice for a reason, good or bad, the more lead time you give a coach of that, the better. It helps them plan. If their starting point guard isn't available, then it's tough to run your new offense without your starting point guard at practice. And so, but we can work on other drills if we know that that's going to happen. So please communicate whenever possible, well in advance. And speaking of communication, it's always better to have the player advocate to the coach about what their expectations are, how they can get better, what it looks like to get more playing time. All those things come much better and are direct towards a player and the coach when that's happening. The next step, if those conversations don't go well, and certainly coach up your son or daughter prior to those conversations. Hey, maybe ask your coach about this, or hey, what do you think? Ask him what he thinks about that. Things like that are fair game, sure, and it helps our kids learn how to communicate with an adult, with a boss, with a coach. All those things are great learning opportunities. But again, if that conversation doesn't go the way that the coach or the player wanted to go, then it's appropriate for a player and parent to meet with the coach face to face. Is always the best. We've got issues of busy parents that's not always available, where we might need to pick up a phone and have a conference call, but usually face to face is the best. And then again, if we've still got some things that aren't quite clear, an athletic director is certainly happy to step in with all the parties involved. What's a challenge is if there's a frustration and a parent goes to an athletic director, my door is always open, and it's likely that I will listen to that concern, but I have no context to what's going on And so it's very difficult for me to mitigate that situation without any more information than that. And so going the proper channels really helps a healthy conversation and a much better outcome. And yeah, some of them are hard conversations, but again, the risk reward of difficult conversations in athletics is a lot, there's a lot less on the line to have a conversation with a coach about goals and things like that than it is for other conversations that likely happen in everyone's lives as they move forward. So a lot of information there that I've tried to break down, and hopefully that's helpful. If you ever want to see his video, it's really, really good. It's dated now, but it's really, really good. And I think that it has a lot of relevancy to us moving forward. That's it. We've got I've posted our athletic trainer Zoe Nam's email address. You can go to our McNary Athletic website. There's a transition from gocelts.com to the McNary Athletic site, but that hasn't quite been done. OSAA site link there, and then the NFHS network is there as well. Again, I'm always open, and please give me a call or shoot me an email, and I will get back to you. And if there's any other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I will post them on the website. I think I've answered the 3 questions that were posted. So if there aren't any more questions posted, then we'll just get this video out to the rest of the parents. Again, thanks for being here, and have a good night.